Good afternoon, my YouTube viewers. It's Palestine here. Welcome to my channel. In this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a post-gardening report. So, because I spent my morning gardening, and basically what happened is, since the last video, if you watched the last video, I was talking about actually going to Queen's Arms to get breakfast because I don't have a cooker, so I can't make a proper breakfast because I don't have a cooker. So we went to Queen's Arms and we met my Sikh friend at Queen's Arms and we had breakfast. And then so when we finished breakfast, and it was really good, it was a bacon and egg roll, and then I had a Danish and I had 2 black teas. And my Sikh friend met us there, which I don't mind if he meets us at this handout, but I don't want him going to the handout alone because a lot of really bad people go to those handouts, and he is a vulnerable person and they could follow him home. So he said he wanted to meet us there, so he met us there and we had breakfast, but I don't want him going alone to those places because a lot of really bad people go to those places. And then so we had our breakfast, and then we left. We had to walk across town because he's really tight and he won't buy a bus pass. So we walked across town to his house from Queen's Arms, and it was a good 45-minute walk. So we walked across town, and after 45 minutes, by that time, I needed to go to the bathroom because I'm pretty much incontinent, and I need to go to the bathroom every hour or two, or there's going to be an accident. And then so we went into the house. We know that his home life is really bad. He's living with 2 other people, and these 2 other people are just nasty to him, and it's his house, and the 2 other people won't contribute anything towards paying the bills. They won't contribute anything towards the upkeep of the house. One of the main lady, she says that it's his house and he has to pay all the bills. So yes, it's his house and he has to pay all the bills, but she's benefiting from that because he's paying for the TV license, and apparently all she does is just sit in front of the TV and watch the TV when she's not working as a server at a Japanese restaurant. And that's an interesting story as well, because she didn't even tell my friend where she was working. He had to find out where she was working because he had to follow her. And then when he followed her, he found out that she's working as a server in a Japanese restaurant. She didn't even tell him that. And then so we know that the situation at home is really bad, and she threatens him a lot, and she's turned other people against him. It's called parental alienation, if you want to know. And then so basically, he was worried that she was going to be there, and my boyfriend said that he would speak to her. So obviously, we got there. We got to the house to do the gardening because she wouldn't help. And she was in the kitchen doing something. So we had to say something. We couldn't just ignore her, even though she's being really nasty to my friend. And I said, hi, we're just his friend. We're just here to help with the gardening. Can I use the toilet? Because by that time, I'm pretty much incontinent. And so I need to be able to go to the bathroom about every hour or two. And I need to be able to use the toilet every time there's a toilet available. And if I don't, there might be an accident, And she said that I couldn't use the bathroom because somebody else was already in there. And she was very unwelcoming. And so I said, okay, fine. What am I supposed to do when they say that you can't use the bathroom? And so I told my boyfriend and my friend, I said, well, I'm going to have to go to the bathroom in the garden because she won't allow me into the bathroom. So I had to go into the bathroom in the garden because I was not allowed to use the toilet. You know, that's just how I said. So I said, don't look. I said, don't look. And I made them not look while I went and had a wee. And then so basically, we spent a little over an hour pulling weeds. Spending a little over an hour pulling weeds. We got there about 11:20 and we finished around 12:30 because by that time I was tired because I was having to get on my hands and knees in my little Hello Kitty t-shirt and pull these weeds. And I had some weed killer, so I pulled the weed, and if I couldn't get the weed all the way out, I'd spray the weed killer on it. And so we didn't finish. We worked on it a little over an hour, worked on it close to 12:30, from about 11:30 to 12:30. So we did about an hour. And then after an hour, I just said, I'm tired. I don't want to do it anymore. And then my friend said, see, I told you it was a lot. I said, yeah, I know it's a lot. I said, but we can come in 2 weeks' time. So I told my friend, I said, I want to come in 2 weeks' time because in 2 weeks' time, they're having another breakfast at Queen's Arms. So we can go to breakfast at Queen's Arms and then we can go to his house and work on the garden some more. And that's what I'm thinking, that we can do the gardening on a Saturday. So basically, I asked, because by that time it was an hour, and I didn't want to go home without using the toilet, because you just don't know when you're 65 and incontinent. You just don't know, you know. And so that time the toilet was free. We had to bring our own toilet paper because they don't use toilet paper. So I told my friend, I said, look, I said, you can keep this toilet paper. And he said, no, he didn't want to keep it, that he just used water. So I think we've kept the toilet paper. But every time we go to his house, we're going to have to bring toilet paper. And I said, you need the toilet paper. I said, you know, you might, you may come a time when you need it, you know. And so, but one thing that struck me was this person that he lives with is really unwelcoming. So we're in there, strangers, on her house, because she says it's her house. She says that half of everything is hers. Plus she wants him to give some money to somebody else too. So she's saying, so basically what it is she came to England and she got to talking to people and they said that half of everything is hers. So she tells him half of everything is hers. If half of it is hers, then why isn't she doing half of the work? Why is she contributing nothing to that house and nothing to that relationship if half of it is hers? And I personally think that my friend needs to see a solicitor and get some legal advice and explain to the solicitor all the things that this person has done to ruin that relationship. And obviously, I can't talk about it in this video because it's his story to tell. And he's told me these things in confidence. But it's not very nice. But I can say what she did to me, like not letting me use the toilet and not even saying, I'll call you when the toilet's free, which is what would have been the decent thing to do when a 65-year-old incontinent woman who's working in his garden needs to use the toilet. And so basically she made some dish. I think she doesn't eat meat. So she made some vegetarian dish. She left the dishes and everything in the sink. And then she just went into the living room and was just sitting there watching TV. And I guess she just watches TV. So I think that there's definitely something wrong in her brain. And I don't think that she ever imagined that my friend would make friends with people who were willing to help him. I think that what she has tried to do is she's tried to isolate him and alienate people from him and make his life so awful that he'll just leave on his own. But it's his property, and she's just living there, using it as a hotel, not even using it as a hotel, because if you're staying in a hotel, you have to pay, and she's not paying anything. He's paying all the bills, and she's just in there doing nothing. She'll go to her job, she'll come back from her job, and then she'll just sit in the living room watching TV. And I guess she'll wash the dishes after she's eaten. I guess she'll do that, but according to my friend, he has to do everything. He has to pay all the bills. He has to do everything. She doesn't do a thing. He said that she's going to be mad if she's there putting the clothes out on the clothesline. And I'm like, well, how could this garden was so overgrown? How could you put clothes on a clothesline anyway? So she's over there putting her clothes on the clothesline on an overgrown garden, so she could see that the garden was overgrown. And I'll tell you, if it had been me, I would have been so embarrassed and ashamed that a stranger, somebody I didn't know, had to go into my house and work on my garden because I was too lazy to do it. And so she says that half of everything is hers. Well, if half of everything is hers, then why isn't she contributing half? Why isn't she paying half of the bills? Why isn't she doing half of the housework? But she is exploiting my friend because she doesn't have a learning disability. She's not a vulnerable person. So I've got somebody phoning me, so I have to close this video. If you like my video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for taking an interest in my life and taking an interest in my gardening escapade. Bye.